My husband left me for another woman. He took my own family to their wedding abroad. He texted me, "Don't be home when we get back. Once it's old, it's dead to me." They all returned and saw what I had done. Their smiles vanished. They looked at the empty land and asked each other one terrified question. I just watched from my car and smiled. Don't be home when we get back. Once it's old, it's dead to me. That's what my husband, Robert, texted me from Croatia, from his wedding to another woman, with my entire family standing behind them in the photo, champagne glasses raised. I stared at that message for exactly 3 seconds. Then I looked up at the construction crew across the street, watching them demolish an old building, floor by floor. Controlled demolition, they called it. And I knew exactly what I needed to do. They wanted me gone? Fine. But I'd make sure there was nothing left for them to come back to. The photo was still on my screen. I zoomed in, studying every detail like I was examining architectural blueprints. Robert stood in the center wearing a tuxedo I'd never seen before, expensive, perfectly tailored, the kind of suit that costs $3,000 minimum. Next to him was Madison Ashford, 28 years old, blonde hair in soft waves, white dress that probably came from some boutique in Boston that I'd walked past 100 times but never entered because I was too busy working. But it wasn't Robert or Madison that made my hands tighten around the phone. It was everyone standing behind them. My mother, Amelia, wore lavender, her favorite color, the same shade she'd worn to my wedding 12 years ago. She was beaming at the camera, champagne glass raised high, looking happier than I'd seen her look in years. Next to her stood my father, William. He looked uncomfortable, sure, but he was there, present, participating, not protesting, not refusing, just standing there like this was normal family behavior. My sister Michelle held a bouquet, an actual bouquet, like she was part of the wedding party, like she hadn't spent the last year telling me I needed to be more supportive of Robert's career, more understanding when he worked late, more flexible when he canceled our plans. And Thomas, my baby brother. The one I put through college when my parents couldn't afford it. The one I helped with rent for 6 months when he lost his job. The one who called me his hero at his graduation. He was grinning in that photo. Chilly grinning, like attending my husband's wedding to another woman was just another fun family vacation. I sat there in my car outside the Meridian Tower construction site, phone in my lap, trying to process what I was seeing, trying to make it make sense. But it didn't make sense. None of it made sense. Across the street, the demolition crew was working on a 1,960 office building that had been condemned 6 months ago. I'd watched them start the tear-down 3 days earlier. They weren't using explosives. This was surgical, controlled. That's when the clarity hit me, the absolute clarity. I had spent 12 years building a home and a life only to be considered dead by the people I loved. You know what's dead? Your future if you ignore the red flags in your life. Don't let your next major mistake be ignoring the subscribe button right now. Do you want to be caught off guard like I was? Hit subscribe, and let me keep you sharp. If you can walk away from a warning this clear, then drop a comment and explain why you're tempting fate. I opened my phone's photo gallery and started scrolling backward. 12 years of marriage in digital form. Our wedding day. Robert looking at his phone during the reception. Our 5th anniversary trip to Maine. Him disappearing for hours claiming he needed to take work calls. Last Christmas, when he insisted we spend it apart because he needed space to think. Every late night at the office that I'd believed without question. I'd been building our future while he'd been building an exit strategy. Robert Vaughn, my husband of 12 years, regional sales manager for a tech company, that's what he told people. But regional sales apparently involved a lot of hotel rooms and very few actual sales reports. I'd never questioned it because I was too busy running my architecture firm, too busy designing buildings and managing clients and working 80-hour weeks to notice that my husband was designing a completely different life. Madison Ashford worked in his office, marketing coordinator. I'd met her once at a company holiday party 2 years ago. I understood now, she wasn't hired for her marketing skills. We never had children. Robert always said the timing wasn't right. My phone buzzed again. A notification from Instagram. Robert had posted the photo publicly. The caption read, "Starting our forever in paradise, surrounded by the people who matter most. The people who matter most." I wasn't in that photo. I was home in Boston, sitting in my car outside a construction site, reviewing blueprints for the Meridian Tower, the project I'd been pouring myself into for 9 months while my husband planned his wedding to someone else. The demolition crew across the street brought down another section of the building. The structure groaned, buckled, collapsed inward, exactly as planned. I watched the dust rise and settle. Then I opened my text messages and typed, "Enjoy Croatia. I'll make sure everything's handled." He would read that and think I was being supportive. But I wasn't being supportive. I was being strategic. I scrolled through my contacts and found Michael Ferrara, my attorney, the woman who'd helped me structure my LLC when I started my firm, the one who'd insisted 5 years ago that Robert sign a postnuptial agreement when I expanded the business. She answered on the second ring. "Quinn, what's wrong? How fast can we move?" There was a pause. Michael was sharp. She didn't need details to understand tone. "How fast do you need?" I looked at the photo again, calculated the timeline. They land in 9 days. Michael's laugh was low and predatory, the sound of someone who'd built a career destroying unfaithful spouses in court. "Quinn," she purred, "then let's build you a beautiful new life in 8. I hung up and sat there for another moment. The building that had stood for 60 years was now just rubble and rebar. Robert thought he was slick, but I had my lawyer, Michael. When life hands you a betrayal, you need an ironclad safety net. Don't be a fool who waits until it's too late. Subscribe right now. It's the only preparation you need for life's inevitable controlled demolitions. If you skip this, just know you're the next rubble on the lot. I didn't sleep that night. By dawn, I had a plan. I dressed in my black power suit, the one I wore for important client meetings, and drove to Michael's office in downtown Boston. "I filed at 7 this morning," she said. "Divorce petition, grounds, abandonment, adultery, and breach of postnuptial agreement." We had evidence. Credit card statements going back 18 months, hotels, restaurants, jewelry purchases that never made it to me. And more. "Remember that laptop he left open? I went through everything you sent me," Michael said. "We have 18 months of correspondence between Robert and Madison planning. And this." She turned the tablet toward me. "An audio file." Robert's voice filled the office. "Don't worry, babe. Once I get the money from the house, we can leave sooner. She'll never know until it's too late." Madison's laugh. "You're terrible, but I love it." "I love you," Robert said. "This time next year, we'll be in our place. She'll still be in that office, working herself to death, and we'll be living our actual lives." I just felt cold. "He'll be served tomorrow morning at his office," Michael said. 9 a.m. sharp. I'm having a process server hand-deliver the papers in front of his colleagues, including Madison. I signed the papers without reading them. The house was titled solely to my LLC, purchased 3 years before we married as a business investment property. Robert had never contributed to the mortgage, the property taxes, the insurance, or the renovations. Legally, he had no claim to it. "He owns nothing," Michael said flatly. "According to the postnup, any assets purchased or maintained during the marriage using your business income remain solely yours. So the $3,400 is all he's legally entitled to." I had Michael liquidate our joint accounts that afternoon. I left Robert exactly $3,400. Fair is fair. When I got home that evening, I walked through the rooms slowly, seeing everything with new eyes. His side of the closet was empty. He assumed he'd come back to it, that this house, this life, would be his safety net while he figured out his new life with Madison. I started packing his belongings into boxes. His clothes went into Goodwill bags. By day 2, the boxes were piled in the garage. Mrs. Kowalski, my neighbor, caught me loading the last bag into my car. "Spring cleaning?" she called. I forced a smile. "Something like that." She looked at the boxes, then at me. "Is everything okay with you and Robert?" "He's traveling," I said. "Extended trip." I saw her standing on her porch later, talking to Mr. Peterson from across the street. Let them wonder. Let them gossip. In a few days, they'd have real news to discuss. Day 3 ended with me drinking wine in the living room. Robert had posted again more photos from Croatia. My mother, Amelia, had commented, "Beautiful couple. So happy for you both." My sister, Michelle, had tagged herself, "Best family vacation ever, number blessed." They were performing happiness. I opened my laptop and started researching demolition companies in the Boston area. Westwood Demo and Excavation had a 5-star rating and a waiting list 3 months long. I need a house demolished in 5 days, I said. Full teardown. I'll pay double your rate. Ma'am, permitting a loan takes 4 to 6 weeks. I can have the permits by tomorrow afternoon. What's the address? He gave it to his foreman, David Morrison. My own family was toasting my demise. Sometimes, the people closest to you are the ones digging your grave. If you have ever felt betrayed, hurt, or overlooked, you understand this pain. Subscribe now, and join a community that truly sees you. Don't scroll past, or you'll prove to the betrayers you can't even stand up for yourself now. David called me 43 minutes later. My guy says you want a demo in 5 days with permits handled by tomorrow. That's not how this works. It is if you want the job, I said. I'm an architect. I've designed half the commercial buildings going up in Boston right now. I know every planning commissioner by name. The permits will be ready by 2 p.m. tomorrow. You're serious? Completely. Why the rush? My husband married someone else last week while I was home working. Took my entire family to Croatia for the wedding. Now they're coming back expecting everything to be exactly as they left it. David was quiet for a long moment. What time tomorrow works for you? Day 4. David walked the property. Solid structure, great bones. You could flip it for $3 million easy. I don't want to renovate it. You know, once it's gone, it's gone. I know. With expedited permits, we can start tomorrow morning. Demo takes about 8 hours for a house this size. You'll have an empty lot by Friday evening. I spent the rest of day 4 calling in favors. By 2 p.m., David had the permits in hand. I'll be damned, he said. You actually did it. I went inside to clear Robert's home office. I found a folder, loan applications, all denied. Applications for a second mortgage on the house, my house, the one owned by my LLC. He had forged my signature on the initial documentation, claiming the property was jointly owned. He tried to steal equity from my property to fund his exit. I photographed every page and sent them to Michael. Michael called back within 2 minutes. Quinn, this is fraud. Attempted felony. Day 5 arrived with cold clarity. I drove to the house. David's crew was already there. Last chance, David said. Once we start, there's no stopping it. I looked at the house. Start, I said. The machinery roared to life. Mrs. Kowalski appeared on her porch in a bathrobe. Other neighbors emerged. I smiled. Renovation. Full demo. Starting fresh. The wrecking ball swung, connected with the east wall. The impact was deafening. The wall crumbled. And I felt nothing. By sunset, there was nothing left but broken pieces scattered across the lot. Controlled demolition. Day 6. The debris removal trucks rumbled in. I watched the kitchen island get loaded into a truck, the marble countertops I'd chosen from a supplier in Cambridge. By evening, the lot was cleared, leveled, smoothed out. It was done. I stood at the curb, staring at empty space where a $2 million home had existed 24 hours ago. This woman lost everything, but she gained control. Don't let your pain be profit for someone else. You need to take back the power in your own life. Subscribe right now to fortify your own future. If you're hesitating, ask yourself, are you afraid of taking control, or are you hoping someone else will save you? My sister Michelle called. We're having the best time. Croatia is gorgeous. I got Robert's text. Her tone shifted. Look, we didn't want to get involved, but Robert said you two had been over for a while. He said you knew about Madison. I agreed to nothing, I said. He's lying to you. He's lying to all of you. You always do this, Quinn. Always assume everyone's against you. Robert loves you. He needs something different now. Someone who makes him happy. Someone who makes him happy. I repeated slowly. I made him happy for 12 years, Michelle. I put you through college. I've held this family together while all of you. We have to go. She cut me off. The reception's starting. We'll talk when we get back. The line went dead. They weren't just attending his wedding. They were defending him. Day 7. I met Michael at her office. She had a file on Madison Ashford. Madison came from serious money. Her father owned Ashford Auto Group. Her trust fund was worth over $2 million. She doesn't need Robert's money, Michael said, But Robert definitely needs hers. She showed me wire transfers from Madison to Robert. He's been conning her, I said slowly. Probably the same way he tried to con you, Michael agreed. Except Madison's family has money and connections. They had her sign a prenup. Robert gets nothing if the marriage ends. So he's not just a cheater, he's a con artist, a bad one. My revenge felt bigger now. It was about stopping him from doing this to someone else. We added it all to the divorce filing. Day 8. I drove to a parking garage and sat in my car. Their flight was scheduled to land at 2:35 p.m. I checked my phone obsessively. 3 luxury SUVs they'd posted about, coming home in style. They'd arrive at the house around 4 p.m., and I'd be there, watching from across the street. The biggest mistake people make is thinking they can outrun karma. When the house of cards falls, you want to be the architect, not the debris. Don't let your biggest mistake be missing the next chapter of this calculated revenge. Hit the bell and subscribe. Because honestly, who wants to live with the regret of missing this showdown? I put on my power suit, black Armani, red bottom heels. My armor. I tracked the flight. At 3:58, the first SUV turned onto the street, then the second, then the third. They pulled up to the curb, right where the driveway used to be. The engines cut. Robert emerged first, sun-relaxed, linen shirt. He stretched, laughed. Madison stepped out next, white sundress. Then my mother, Amelia, designer sunglasses, lavender scarf. My father, William, looking tired. Michelle and Thomas started unloading luggage. They were all smiling, laughing, talking over each other about the flight. Until Robert turned toward where the house should be. His body went rigid. The smile disappeared. He took 2 steps toward the lot and stopped. Just stopped. Madison noticed first. "Babe, what's wrong?" Robert didn't answer. He was staring at the empty space. Madison followed his gaze. Her smile faded. The shopping bag slipped from her fingers. "Where's?" She stopped. "Where's the house?" My mother's voice cut through the confusion. "William. William." Her voice climbing toward hysteria. "Where is it? Where's the house?" My father turned. His face went pale. Michelle's phone clattered to the sidewalk. Thomas dropped 2 suitcases. For a moment, no one moved. They just stood there, on the sidewalk, surrounded by luggage and shattered assumptions, staring at pristine green grass and empty space where a $2 million home had stood 9 days ago. Robert spun in a circle, looked at the neighboring houses, both exactly where they'd always been. He looked at the mailbox. The right address. "What?" His voice came out strangled. That's when George Brennan's truck pulled up. He'd been driving past. George got out of his truck. Robert charged him. "What did you do to my house?" "Whoa, buddy, I don't know what you're talking about. I just bought this property yesterday, clean title, empty lot. I don't know what." My mother saw me. I'd rolled down my window, coffee cup in hand. "Quinn!" She shrieked. Not like a name, like an accusation, like a curse. "What did you do?" Everyone turned. I stepped out of the car. I walked toward them slowly, not rushing. 6 feet away, I stopped. "Oh, hey everyone," I said, my voice pleasant, casual. "How was Croatia? Did you get my text about handling everything?" Robert stared at me. You demolished our house." His voice cracked on the last word. I tilted my head slightly. "Not our house, Robert. My house. My business asset, owned by my LLC. And technically, I didn't demolish it myself. I contracted Westwood Demo and Excavation. Very professional crew, they finished ahead of schedule. You can't do that. That's illegal." "That's..." "Actually," I said calmly, pulling up the property deeds and the postnuptial agreement he'd signed 5 years ago without reading, "per Massachusetts property law and the terms of our postnup, I can do whatever I want with my solely owned business assets." I turned to Madison. "That sounds like a you problem. But congratulations on your wedding. Beautiful photos. I especially loved the one of my mother wearing lavender to your ceremony. Very classy." Madison made a sound somewhere between a gasp and a sob. My mother stepped forward, face twisted with rage. "Quinn Monroe. You will fix this right now. This is family property. Did you help?" I interrupted. "Because I have 12 years of receipts that say otherwise. Every renovation, every repair, Every property tax payment, all mine. You helped by visiting for holidays and eating food I cooked and telling me I worked too much and wasn't a good enough wife. You're my mother. And you went to his wedding while he was still married to me. So let's not pretend family loyalty means anything coming from you. Then Thomas found his voice. Quinn, come on, this is insane, you can't just. I already did, Thomas, I said. And just so we're clear, that college tuition I paid? Consider it repaid, with interest, in the form of this valuable life lesson. Don't betray the person who's been holding your life together. The cars? Robert whispered. The accounts? All mine, I said. Company property, repossessed. Joint accounts, liquidated. You'll find approximately $3,400 in your personal checking your actual contribution to our marriage. I left it untouched. Fair is fair. Madison finally found her voice. You're insane. I'm an architect, I said calmly. There's a difference. I build things. I also unbuild them when necessary. Controlled demolition. It's all about precision. How are we supposed to afford? Madison started, then caught herself. Afford what, Madison? I thought you came from money. Or, I looked at Robert now. Did you lie to her, Robert? Tell her I had money that would be yours in a divorce? Tell her you owned half of everything. Robert's expression shifted. What is she talking about? Or maybe, I continued, she lied to you, Robert, about her trust fund, about her family's money, about what she could offer you once you finally got rid of the wife who was funding your life. I let that hang in the air. You deserve each other, I said simply. I opened my car door then stopped. One more thing. Oh, and Robert? I filed for divorce on Monday. You'll be served at your office tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. sharp. My attorney is Michael Ferrara. You should look her up. She's never lost a case. You can't do this. I'll sue you. I'll take you for everything. I pulled out my phone one last time, found the audio file. And just so we're all clear about who the victim is here. I hit play. Robert's voice, tiny through my phone speaker. Don't worry, babe. Once I get the money from the house, we can leave sooner. She'll never know until it's too late. I stopped the recording. He tried to forge my signature on a second mortgage application 6 months ago. I said quietly, calmly. Tried to steal equity from my house, the one owned by my LLC, to fund your new life together. That's fraud, Madison. That's criminal. And I have evidence of all of it. Robert's legs seemed to give out. He sat down hard on the curb, head in his hands. So when you sue me, I looked at Robert, make sure your attorney knows about that. Michael will be happy to add it to the divorce filing. Criminal fraud tends to affect asset division, just for your information. Wait. My father, William, said. His voice was hoarse. Quinn, wait. I paused, looked at him. I didn't know, he said quietly. About the text. About what Robert said. Your mother told me they'd separated, that it was mutual, that you'd agreed. I agreed to nothing, I said. But you knew that, didn't you? Deep down. He didn't answer. I got in my car, started the engine, rolled down the window one last time. Enjoy finding somewhere to sleep tonight, I said. I hear the Holiday Inn on Route 9 has vacancies. I pulled away slowly. In my rearview mirror, I watched 7 people standing on an empty lot, surrounded by luggage and shattered assumptions. Robert was still sitting on the curb, head in his hands. Madison was crying. My mother was yelling at my father. I drove 3 blocks before I had to pull over. My hands were shaking, not from fear or regret, but from adrenaline. The pure, undiluted satisfaction of watching them realize what they'd lost. I sat there for 10 minutes, breathing slowly. I'd done it. The house was gone. The revenge was complete. They'd seen what I'd done. And I felt hollow. Like I'd torn down the house but couldn't figure out what to build in its place. 6 months passed. The lot where my house had stood became the Monroe Heights development, 8 luxury townhouses, my design, my vision. The demolition hadn't just been about destroying a house. It had been about destroying the version of myself who accepted betrayal, who made excuses for people who didn't deserve them, who built a life for others while neglecting to build one for herself. That woman was dead. In her place was someone stronger, harder, and more certain that being alone was better than being with people who made me feel alone. They'd wanted me gone. I'd made sure there was nothing left for them to come back to. On a Tuesday evening in late April, my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. Robert. I've had time to think. We made mistakes. Can we talk? I stared at those words for exactly 3 seconds. I thought about the photo he'd sent from Croatia, the caption that called me dead. That woman was gone. I typed, sorry. Once it's old, it's dead to me. Funny how that works. Then I blocked the number. I poured wine, toasted my reflection in the window. To new foundations, to controlled demolitions, to the life I built alone, and the peace I found in its silence. If this story of calculated, ice-cold, legal revenge had you holding your breath, you owe it to yourself to subscribe. Don't be like Robert and Madison, who thought they could walk away from their mistakes tangent-free. Show the algorithm you stand with the winners. Hit that subscribe button right now. If you don't subscribe, enter the comments and tell us why you are choosing to stay on the side of the betrayed, instead of joining the victorious.